Hey everybody, this is Robert Wheeler with Whitebone Knives. Today we're going to be going over leather sheaths versus synthetic sheaths, or Kydex, which is most popularly used. And I put together a little list of pros and cons of each one, how they might benefit in a certain situation, and how others they might fail, or just basically what you would like better based on looks or appearance. Let me just go over what we got laying out in front of us here. This middle one is one that I've made, and it has a Kydex sheath. And this is the only one of the bunch that I have made directly. So this one right here is a Bark River Custom 2009 custom skinner. And it has a nice leather sheath to it. This one is a case collector's knife, and it's got a leather sheath. Get it in here. Okay, there we go. Alright, and then on this one we got a Gerber LMF2, and it's got some sort of synthetic material. It's certainly not Kydex, but it behaves like it. And then we have an SOG Seal Pup Elite, and this one is kind of like a nylon slash some sort of synthetic on the inside for support. Excuse me. But basically, I wanted to put to rest a couple of things that a lot of knife guys, or just, you know, people getting into knives for the very first time, are kind of wondering about. Maybe some rumors that are spreading around about certain types of leather or Kydex. You just, you know, a lot of problems that have arisen, and I just want to put some things to rest. I guess we'll go over the pros of each material, and the thing about Kydex is that it is completely waterproof. No amount of time or anything is going to change that. The only water entry is going to be this hole where the knife goes in, or the drainage hole, which is right there. That's the only area that the water is going to get in. Everything around the side is sealed and is tight. But also, if water does get into your Kydex, it will flow through and go out the drainage hole, and that's what it's intended for. It's not going to sit in there like it would on leather. Leather is a porous material, and you can waterproof it, but if you see in here, you can see the back side is has not been waterproofed. So water may sit in there a lot longer than it's going to sit on plastic, which would be a con for the leather. Is it that big of a con? It's up to you. Alright, another pro to the Kydex would be the retention. And when I say retention, I mean the ability to hold the knife in, and when you pull it out, it clicks. When you push it in, it clicks. Turn it upside down, it's not going to come out on you. Leather sheaths did it first, basically by putting a strap on your sheath over the guard, typically, preventing it from falling out. You know, it's never going to fall out on you. Nothing like that, just like the Kydex. But you do have to put the strap there. So if you, without that strap, if you turn it upside down, it's going to fall out on you. And there's just, you know, no way of getting around that until you put the snap on, which is perfectly fine. Now, another pro for the Kydex is that it is a lot cheaper to produce than the leather sheaths. It's sold in big sheets you can buy it in, and leather, I mean, you know, leather you can buy in big sheets as well, but there's a lot more to it. You know, you gotta cut the material just right, you gotta sew it up, you gotta, make these sides all smooth. You got to waterproof it all, and then you even put these designs in here potentially. So it's very, Kydex is very cost effective in that sense. It's cheaper for the maker and cheaper for you guys. Another pro to the Kydex is that it is low maintenance. You don't need to do anything as far as upkeep with the Kydex sheaths. With leather, I know you'll have to oil it every now and then, depending on how much you use it. If it's a very hard-use knife, very hard-use sheath, then you're going to want to maintain it every now and then. Because if you get it dirty or wet or anything like that, it'll start to rot on you. I've had knives from my grandfather that I've had leather sheaths, and have held up through many years and, withstood many things. I still have them. They're in good condition. But that being said, they haven't really been used a lot, as they've been more family heirlooms. If you were to actually have been using the sheath, then it would have a lot more signs of wear. Probably some checking, like this one right here. You can see got a little bit of breakage right here. It needs to be oiled to maintain that. If you let this go, it will get worse. I don't know if you guys can see here. Just right there, you get that little checking. But it's not too terribly hard to fix or anything. Just rub some oil on it and you're good. Some pros of the leather would be that it is not as noisy as the Kydex. You're not going to hear it out in the woods as much. And, this is somewhat subjective. I think it's kind of... It's a very hot topic amongst a lot of people that Kydex is very, very noisy. And that might just be because of this, and then something like that. Or when you unclick it and click it, it's going to make a lot of noise. And this is basically targeted to hunters. And I think it's kind of silly, because you're not just going to be sitting up in your tree stand, flipping it in and out, waiting for your deer to come along. That's just stupid. You're not going to do that. The only time you're ever going to pull your knife out is when like after you've killed an animal. It's not going to be any other time, unless, you just want to scare the animals off. But that would be like sitting here with your leather sheath, and taking your clip and flipping it on and off. It's just, I don't think noise is really that big of a deal. But some guys are super fanatical about it, and they'll go on and argue about it for who knows how long. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but it is a point for some people. So, another pro for the leather sheaths is that it represents true craftsmanship. And I say that because it takes a lot more time to produce this than it does to produce this. And also it's something to have a story to. Something that's been rolled out of a factory, it doesn't have as much story to it. This came from an animal and was produced by a tradesman, and the design was inlaid and sewed together, and which of course you have to put this together as a custom maker, for the Kydex sheath. You have to put it together and everything, but it just doesn't seem as traditional as leather. I mean, and that brings up another thing. Another pro for the leather sheaths is that it brings nostalgia. A lot of guys have grown up with only using leather sheaths because at the time that was the most popular thing to use. Now they've got all sorts of materials in today's age. Whatever this is, I'm not entirely sure, but you have the Kydex and then some sort of synthetic material, and then you have nylon. There's just a whole bunch of different options now. But as a nostalgia standpoint, the leather brings people back to that day and age. So that will be the pros, and now I guess I'll go over the cons, and some of the cons have already really been mentioned, but I'll just go through it as a list anyways. The Kydex, like I said before, has a loud click noise, and that's subjective to some people, but it doesn't bother me, and I honestly don't think it should bother you, but everybody has their own opinion, and they're entitled to it. So, another con for Kydex would be that it is cold. When it's cold outside, very cold, it has a potential to break. And I remember somebody did some testing on it on YouTube. I'm not entirely sure. I can't really remember who it was, but they put their Kydex sheath in nitrogen, or liquid nitrogen, and froze it, and then took it out and bashed it with a hammer, and it broke. And do I think that you're ever going to bathe in liquid nitrogen with your knife on and happen to hit it with a hammer and break it? No. I've been out in the woods plenty of times with my knives using Kydex, and nothing has ever happened to it. Typically in Ohio, weather doesn't go below the 0 threshold very often. It does go below freezing though, so 32 is not, or 32 degrees is not typically the coldest it gets here. Sometimes it can get to below 20 degrees, which in that case I'm not outside anyways. I don't want to be out there, so I can't say that Kydex will hold up below 20 degrees or not, but I know it certainly holds up below 32, which, if it's any colder than 20 degrees, probably I don't want to be outside. Just personal opinion, if you're in a certain area that you're going to be using a knife, possibly in Arctic conditions, leather might be the choice for you. But as far as the rest of the world goes, I think Kydex is just fine. Same for leather. I think it's fine either way. So now it brings me to the point of another con of Kydex, that if it's made wrong, you can get scratches on your blade. So some guys make these sheaths fit way too tight, and when you sheath and unsheath the knife, you will get scratches in there because there's some sort of material rubbing between the Kydex and the blade. So whether it be grit from the belt that you use to make the sheath, or whether it be sand or dirt or anything like that, it can scratch your blades. Which, when I make my sheaths, I have a layer of tape between the blade and the Kydex. And that being said, I don't think it's going to be, with leather sheaths you'll have more room in there than the Kydex, even with the tape. So if you do get dirt inside of your sheath, it's going to scratch your blade. That's just all there is to it. With leather, if you get dirt in there, it's probably not going to scratch it as bad, because usually they're loose, but some form-fitted sheaths that are leather could, potentially scratch it as well. I know this one, if I were to put any dirt or anything like that inside of this sheath, it would scratch the blade. There's some friction going in, and while it might not be a lot, it would be enough that if you got dirt in there, it would certainly scratch. This one, probably not so much. It's not so friction. There's not so much friction on this one, and you probably would not receive too much trouble on that end. Yeah, if we can get this guy back in here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it does kind of have some more friction towards the end there. Putting it in, it doesn't, but even these nylon sheaths right here, this one probably has the least resistance of them all. But like a leather sheath, it does have a strap. And you probably would hardly get any scratches if dirt got into this one. As far as this Gerber LMF, would you get scratches on it? Probably. It's pretty tight fitting in there, and a lot of it has to do with this clip right here that clips on. but the inside, you can hear that there's some space in between it, which is fine. It's meant to be used, you know. I think a lot of knives are really meant to be used. I'm not a big collector myself, so if I get a tool, I like to use it, and I like to know that I can use it. Some guys are really into collecting, though, and that's just a whole different marketing standpoint. So, we'll move on to the leather cons. Leather can rot over time if not taken care of properly. If you don't oil it every now and then, I mean, it's going to take a while for something like that to happen. So, I don't think, I mean, it's a con to some people, because some people don't like to maintain their stuff at all. They just like it to be all taken care of for them. So, you know, you got to maintain it every now and then. If you don't, it's going to check just like this. It'll get these little cracks in here. And, you know, that's just inevitable. It's going to happen. It's not a man-made material. So, I guess the last con to leather is that it just costs more to produce than the Kydex. You know, like I said before, it's just a lot of craftsmanship goes into this leather sheath rather than a Kydex. But it's just how it is, you know. It's just cost effective for the Kydex is cost effective for the maker and for the customer. But like I said, people like the leather more sometimes. You know, it just depends on what you like and what you don't like. In conclusion, I would like to say that I don't prefer either one or the other. I think if a knife has a certain theme to it, if it has a certain traditional theme, then you might want to go leather sheath. But that's not to say you should exclude Kydex. It just depends on what you want to do. I think a lot of things now are really based on opinion rather than fact and function. To me, I enjoy all my knives and sheaths. Any one of these I would take out and use. None of these really bother me in any certain way. I've never had a really bad problem with any of them. And, you know, that being said, there are certain situations where you would want to have Kydex over leather, and there's certain situations vice versa. One example that I can think of would be if you were going to be in an aquatic environment, you know, more times than none, you'd want to pick a synthetic sheath. You know, it's not going to rot on you. It's not going to be exposed to the elements, or, you know, it won't break down to the elements. Whereas leather certainly will. If you're going to be a collector or something, you know, why not go with leather? It's, you know, you got the craftsmanship to it. It feels nice in hand. It's soft. You know, depends on what you want. I mean, even if you go hunting and you're using a leather sheath, that's fine. You know, if you're going to be out there using it, that's certainly fine. It'll hold up. It'll hold up, especially with a lot of the things that people use to waterproof their leather now. So I would recommend that you pick any of them. Just depends on what you like. Really, it's all opinion based. So if you like the look of Kydex, go for it. You know, it's a great material. It's not been around as long as leather, but it's proved worthy over the years that it's been out. Leather has been around for many years, more than I know about. So if you want to use leather, then by all means go ahead. Basically, the point of this video was to tell you guys that it's just a matter of opinion. Go out there and use what you want to use. If you think it looks that good, then use it. I don't like pissing contests. I think they're just stupid. I think it's a lot of wasted energy to have an elitist conversation saying that this is way better than this for this reason and this reason and this reason, and it's not even that much of a credited reason. So get out there, use what you like to use, and if you like it, that's great. but don't exclude other options just because you have found one option that works for you. There's more than one way to skin a cat. So, hope you guys liked the video. Just wanted to get this out there and put some things to rest. I hope to do more of these videos. I might do something like, what is the best steel video, because I know a lot of guys have some controversies there. So, I might do that sometime soon. I don't know if I will or not. It'll probably cause more of a stink than I'm after, so... But yeah, I hope you guys liked the video, and I hope to do more. So, alright guys, thanks for watching.